Alrighty, hello everyone. Thank you for attending the 2018 Hour of Code webinar. We know that how many choices you have for the Hour of Code, and we thank you for choosing us. After today's session, we will send you out a form for you to fill out in which you will receive PD credit for today's webinar. If you have any questions during today's session, please send them in the Q&A or in the chat box along the side. Also follow us on Twitter or on Instagram at CodeMonkeySTU and then hashtag CodeMonkeyWebinar. My team is going to be joining us. So if you, like I said, if you have any questions in the chat box or in the Q&A section. All right, and we're gonna get started. Remember to write code, catch bananas, and save the world. All right, so Hour of Code 2018. So who are we? So today I'm going to introduce my team that's joining us. First, I'll just start out with myself. My name is Lena Saleh, and I am the Professional Development Manager here at CodeMonkey. So I do all of the trainings for teachers and all of the online webinars.
Hi, everyone. My name is Zach. I'm the Director of Sales. I may know a lot of you as you are our current clients of CodeMonkey, and we appreciate you joining us today and also joining us for the remainder of the year. I'm here to say hello to everyone and also to just tell you that Hour of Code is a great start for some people. It's a great push for your students to get them invigorated for coding. But if any of you are interested in furthering your coding in your school, I'm the guy to speak to. I'll be mentioning something at the end of the webinar, but take in, Lena's going to do a great job. And if you want to do more coding, I'll be in touch with you after the webinar.
We also have Zoe Diane. She is our marketing and media manager. I have her here in this little monkey trophy because she is our rock star here at CodeMonkey. All right, so let's go ahead and
wait, hold on, Lena. You're
go ahead. Sorry.
And I'm excited to see you all here today. And best of luck, Lena.
Okay, so first we're just going to start off with talking about what is the Hour of Code. I'm sure most of you that are joining obviously know a little bit of Hour of Code, but I just wanted to give you kind of a glimpse into it. So the Hour of Code is basically not a place where students are learning how to code. It's giving them that exposure and the access to computer science. So when it was originally designed, it was designed to basically show students how fun coding is and just basically opening a window or kind of, you know, giving the big picture in the background for students and showing them how fun and interactive it can be. So I like to share this graphic here along the side. I think code.org did a really great job in making this graphic here and kind of doing a lot of the research that they've done with computer science. So here we have the percentage of female high school students that had no prior computer science experience prior to the Hour of Code. And when they interviewed them, about 55% of students said that they liked computer science. And after doing the Hour of Code, 75% of the students now really enjoyed or liked computer science. So that's basically the goal of the Hour of Code, is to get your students jazzed about the Hour of Code and about what coding can be. Okay, so let's talk about where can you find us. So you can find us at code.org/learn, and I'm going to show you that here in a second. Or you can also find us at www.playcodemonkey.com/hour-of-code, and you'll find all of our courses there. And then we also have our teacher notes alongside that. So I'll get into a little bit more about what that is and what they look like here as we get started. Like I said, if you have any questions along the way, please feel free to ask them and we'll do our best to answer them. We'll also have some time at the end for some Q&A. So here are our 5 courses that we have. We have the Trivia Chatbot, Moonlander, Dota Math, Coding Adventure, and Game Builder. And I'm going to discuss in more detail what each of these courses look like, because I know that many of you joining us are joining us from different age levels and different areas of the teaching spectrum. So I want to be able to talk about each and every single one of those. So our Hour of Code courses, like I said, we currently have 5 courses. Our Coding Adventure course is our beginners course. So it walks all of the students in a linear manner through all of our coding concepts, and this is geared for grades 7 through 6. Then we have our Dota Math, and so basically every single of our courses after Coding Adventure requires the students to have a little bit of background experience as far as coding goes. Coding Adventure, like I said, is our beginner's course. So Dota Math is our 2nd through 4th grade, and this talks about, has many math concepts in it. It has distances, angles, and multiplication. And the students work through coding concepts to solve these types of problems. Game Builder is our interactive, like exactly what it says, a game builder course. Then we have a Python chatbot, and those are geared for our older grades. And so the Game Builder is 5th through 9th, the Python chatbot is 7th through 9th, and then our last course is Moonlander, and Moonlander is an interactive, it's also very fun, but geared more towards the older grade levels, more advanced coding. It is a little bit more challenging. So we'll talk about that. And just know that with any of these courses, just because the grade level says 2nd through 6th grade does not mean that an 8th grade student cannot attempt to take Coding Adventure. We'll talk a little bit more about that, but basically through Coding Adventure, the monkey will go through catching bananas, and sometimes middle school students will find that a little bit too babyish, or sometimes they'll love it. It just depends on the scope and sequence of the kids. Okay, so moving right along, I love this graphic here on the left-hand side. So this is what we want our classrooms to look like, the classrooms on the right-hand side when preparing for the hour of code. We want it to be very calm and easygoing, and everyone is working together, and it's in a seamless manner. And so I, as I'm sure any of you as teachers, have had these moments where it looks like you think you have everything under control, and then there's a fire and you've got to put it out. And so I learned this the hard way the very first year that I set up the hour of code. I organized it for my whole school. I was a STEM teacher for a K-8 school, and basically I was the T in the STEM. And so we decided to set up an hour of code with all of our students. And we very quickly realized that there was a lot of troubleshooting that was involved with it. And at this time, it was back in 2012, there weren't as many expansive coding courses as there are now. And so we didn't really have anything in the background or really let our volunteers know what to do. So in the 2nd year, we tested all of our devices. We made sure that everything kind of worked seamlessly, and that our volunteers had kind of some background troubleshooting to go with. So basically what we did is we decided when to host your event. So you want to decide when do you want to host your event. A lot of schools internationally will host them after school to do really good community building. Some schools will host it during school, during having an hour of code. And this is a great time to bring in parent volunteers. Parents love to help, and so what better way than to have them during the hour of code when you have hundreds of devices working all at one time. Always, like I said, test everything out. CodeMonkey works on, or our platform works on Chromebooks, iPads, MacBooks, hardwired computers. There's no downloading, there's no flash, so it really works well on a lot of devices. Just making sure that your browsers are up to date, because that's really important. And then, like I said, invite your parents to come in. I'm going to show you some really great resources to share with your parent volunteers, or even bringing volunteers from the community, like local businesses. They have a lot of times where they have volunteer hours, and they love to help, especially during these times. So you give them those, and then we have some hour of code notes that I'll share with you. And then I would recommend having, especially if you're like a librarian, or even having your volunteers set up the computer so that when the students come in, they spend the entire hour coding. We want them to have as much exposure and as much fun during this time as possible. So those are just some really important things to kind of keep in mind when setting up for the hour of code. Okay, so now we're going to explore our courses, what the courses look like, and the teacher notes that are involved with them. Sorry, just getting these notes here, and then we're going to get moving. Okay, so we're going to start out with our very first course, and so how we access these courses. So you can go to code.org /learn, like I had mentioned before, and over here on the left-hand side in the Created By section, you can go to CodeMonkey, and when you do so, you'll see that there is a beginner and there is a comfortable. And the beginner, like I said, suggests a Coding Adventure is our beginner's course. Now, it does increase in complexity if you go beyond just the hour of code. and then the comfortable version, meaning we want our students to have some background knowledge with coding beforehand. So that's how you can access the courses. And with each of these courses, there is this short link here. And so the short link is really great to even do something like a bit.ly or maybe a QR code. That's really easy for your iPads to just go straight to it. Whatever you think kind of works for you, but really making sure that you launch those beforehand. So let's start out with our Coding Adventure course. And when you click on the beginner in the Coding Adventure course, it'll bring you here to the screen. I've already brought it up just for times purposes here. And underneath each and every single one of our courses, we have teacher's notes, and then we have full lesson plans. So with Coding Adventure, that comes with our free teacher trial, which we'll talk about a little bit at the end, but that does give you the exposure to the lesson plans that are involved with those as well. And so underneath Coding Adventure, when I click, oops, sorry, I want to go to the teacher notes. So let's go back here to the free teacher notes. So we'll click here on the teacher notes, and underneath it'll give you what the course is about. And so in Coding Adventure, the goal is that the students are learning coding concepts through playing a gamified version of monkey collecting bananas. And as he goes along, he's, like I said, learning the coding concepts in a linear manner. So the kids aren't skipping around or kind of doing any of that. The age specifications are here if you want to look at any of those. But basically what I said, you definitely need internet. You need to make sure that headphones are definitely recommended. We have some really fun sounds that are associated with those. And then the programming language that we use for Dota Math and Coding Adventure is CoffeeScript. And so CoffeeScript is just a much easier version of JavaScript. It's basically the context without all of the syntax surrounding it. So it just makes it much easier for the students to learn. And then we'll talk about how the challenges are scored. And then just know that all of our courses are Common Core and CTS aligned, and we're working on some other alignments as we go through here. And then how to prep for the hour of code. There are those certificates, remember, at the end of the hour of code that you can print out for your students. I suggest making those ahead of time, printing those off. We all know how much students are driven by certificates, and they love them, even the older grades. This is a great reference card that I shared with my parent volunteers in my classroom, and so I just let them know. So if a student were to ask for help, instead of giving them an answer, we're not giving them an answer during this time, we just want them to try it. So we're mostly just having our volunteers basically give words of encouragement, like, I don't know, that's a great question. What can you do to figure that out? And so we're just really encouraging them to go through. And depending on how much experience your students have, some of them may finish the course in under an hour, and so we can encourage them to go to the other courses as we kind of go along. Okay. So let's go ahead and let's start playing. I'm going to show you a couple challenges from each and every single one of our courses we get moving here. For Coding Adventure and Dota Math, there is a trailer that goes alongside of it. It's super cute. For the essence of time, I'm not going to show it. We do have this new narration feature here. If you turn off the narration feature within the settings, the narration feature will not pop up. So just making sure that you know that if that happens for troubleshooting reasons. Like I said, there's some fun noises, so I'm just going to turn the noises down a little bit. I still want you to be able to hear them, but that feature. And in the teacher notes, it'll tell you exactly what Gordo does. And so Gordo is our teacher assistant. He gives all of the directions and encouragement when the students pass a challenge. And then I also wanted to notice that we do have many languages here. And so the directions will be in their native language, but the coding is always in the same language. Okay, it's always CoffeeScript. CoffeeScript doesn't change. Okay, so here at the very beginning of Coding Adventure, it starts very simply. When you hit run, it's introducing students to the platform, and then they'll get a scoring system. So basically, in a shortened version of this, a 3-star means they wrote the shortest, most concise code. 2-star solution means they were able to take what they learned, and a 1-star solution means it took them a very long process to code it. Basically, we don't want our students writing out 100 lines of code when they can solve it in 2, because when you become a true computer programmer, nobody wants to be spending that much time writing that much extra steps of coding. Okay, so then we go to our next challenge, and like I said, Gordo gave us a little bit extra. And so that's what the narration feature looks like. And so here we have Monkey, and it also tells them, but we have Monkey, we can pick up the ruler, we can measure, we can use the different tools. And so in this case, Monkey needs to step 15. And so if I write this, drag this out here, this is going to yield a 2-star solution because I could have changed it to step 15. And so if you see that, or encourage your volunteers to see this scoring system, if you're using this in the elementary classroom or whatever, say, oh, well, how do you think you could get 3 stars for this challenge? So just kind of just encouraging them as they go along. I am going to skip ahead here to challenge number 30, so you can take a look at what does it look like at the end of the course. Sorry, let me just quickly log in here. I won't be able to skip ahead. So you'll notice your students will try to skip ahead and they cannot skip ahead unless they've had the access to do so. And you can access this through the story mode or change it here. And so as you can see in challenge number 30, there is no code written here. So we're needing the students to figure out how to write the code. And because I've already done this, and you'll notice too, the code gets quite challenging. And in this here, the students are actually doing loops. So it says loop land. So the students will have to be learning what a loop is. And so if you don't know what a loop is, it's a repetition of steps. And so here we're saying that 3 times the monkey will step 10, step back 10, and then the turtle, that's why this is associated here. This is an object. So we've programmed the turtle to move. The turtle will then step 10 and monkey will repeat the steps. So let me show you what that looks like. And Humberto Newman, and so you ask, how is the criterion to assign 1, 2, or 3 stars? And so in the teacher's guide, it details a little bit more about what the 1-star, 2-star, and 3-star solutions will look like. And in the actual teacher dashboard, once you have a teacher trial, it will also show you how students' stuff is scored. So we can talk about that, and I can show you that here at the end. So I'll get back to your question here soon. Okay, and so with Coding Adventure, you get challenges 1 through 30 for the next one. And so that's what Coding Adventure looks like. So they're catching it, and it's super fun. They love the noises, and what better way than catching bananas? So Dota Does Math here is, like I said, coding concepts. And so let me show you what the teacher notes look like. And I'm sorry if I'm going a little bit fast, but I want to be able to show you all 5 of our courses. So same thing, Dota Does Math, it's an interactive hour, still web-based, still Chromebook compatible, same thing. The scoring system for Dota Does Math is exactly the same as Coding Adventure. And so 3 stars means that you did it in the shortest, most concise. 2-star means that you incorporated what you did and picked up all of the eggs. And then 1-star means that it took you a much longer journey, basically, to catch the eggs here. GTS aligned as well. There's still the certificates, and they'll be seeing a little bit different buttons here in Coding Adventure and, in Dota Does Math, and they're actually using real world tools here. Okay, so they're using a protractor, a ruler to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start playing. I'm going to introduce you to a couple of the lessons. There's still a couple of the challenges. There's a video here too. This one's super cute. Basically, Dodo lays his eggs on a turtle shell, and the turtle moves away, and so Dodo is left to collect his eggs. So this starts out super basic, introducing the students to how a ruler works, and it is set up like a real ruler, and we all know that our students struggle with how to do measurements, so just keeping that in mind. So here the kids learn to use a real life ruler, and it's not always an exact amount. They learn also how to read a protractor, a real life protractor, and using the measurement. And so I'll show you that. Let me turn down this sound here because it can be, like I said, overwhelming sometimes, especially when you're trying to speak. And then like I said, they're exposing them to measurement, and they're getting, this one is very much STEM integrated, okay? So in this case here, we need to pick up the eggs and for the exact measurement, and it gave us a tutorial. And so I'll pick up the ruler, and this is where it's measuring, and it's telling me that I need to step 8 instead of step 0. So in this case, He's now step 8. We use the ruler. It's not always exact. Sometimes there's a lot more complexity that is associated with that. Okay, and you can see here, this is a story map. And so we have this for Coding Adventure and Dota Does Math, in which you can see how the students moved. And because I've obviously already solved this, we can access different challenges. So I'm going to go to challenge number 4 here within the distances and measurement. And we can see that this one actually has the distances laid out for us, but the students have to do some math here. So it's saying, okay, we need to add. And so I need to step that distance, and then I'll need to pick up the egg. And so when I do so, I had to add the distances together. If I had done something, I'll just quickly show you, since some of the questions have been surrounding this, what does it look like? So I added those two together to get a 3-star solution. This will yield me a 1-star solution because I didn't do it in the shortest, most concise way here, okay? So those are just some ways to kind of understand that concept. And then as we move along, we go into angles and measurement. And so here you can see not all of them are blank. This is just an application of what they've learned from the days before. And so they'll have to figure out, okay, how do I use this? How do I use the protractor? So we can see where he is. You can turn it and actually use the real life measurement here. We can see, okay, how far do we need to step? And so this one's a little bit more complicated in that manner. And so we turned 65 here. You can see it in between. Okay, so I turned 65. Then I had to actually, in this one, use both the protractor and the ruler to get to where I needed to be. And we're using some of the coding concepts from Coding Adventure. So your students can start using Coding Adventure, and it gives them all of the tools that they need to succeed for any of our courses. And there were 2 eggs here, so I needed to pick up both of the eggs. And so that's what the distance and measurement look like. And then let me show you just one more about what the multiplication will look like. So this one is more so skip counting. So Dodo has to throw the lobsters to walk across the lobsters to get to the end, because if Dodo just starts walking, he's gonna drown. So I can debug this and figure out that I don't have enough. And so I'll need to throw the lobster the distance of 20, and then I'll need to pick up the egg. So for the purpose of time, we can see that I threw 20 lobsters, and I will now need to step the distance of 20 to get to the end. And so in Dota Does Math, it's not just the coding, it's also the math. So there's a lot of thinking involved inside the Dota Does Math course. So if you're really wanting to challenge your students, definitely recommend doing this. Especially, I taught 5th grade, and my students don't know multiplication. They actually didn't know how to use the tools. And so I used this course actually as a supplementation to some of the things that I was teaching, because even though this says Hour of Code and it's available during the week of computer science, it's actually available all year round. So why not utilize it while you can? Okay, moving right along to our next course here. So our next course that we're going to take a look at is Game Builder. So you can already see right away that Game Builder looks different than any of the other ones that we've done before. Okay, so in Game Builder, there are 3 screens. You can see this here. There is the directions. Then we have our text editor, which if you're not sure familiar with a text editor, is where you write your code. And then over here is we have our scene, or basically the action of what's happening. And so this will start out very basic. There's a lot of reading that's involved with this. So making sure that's why it's for a little bit older grade levels, as well as a lot of thinking here. And so it starts out super simple. And in this one, we have where you're coding, but you're also playing. So the students will code the code here, and then they'll also play. So they can also see what's happening, but also play. So in this one, we're saying when we're programming the object of the monkey here, and this is asking us to program him to step 1. And so when I attach the @ to it, it means that I am programming, these are matching, so I'm programming the monkey to go with him. And when I do so, now I'm going to move him to get to the banana. And so there's some fun noises as well here and some encouragement that goes alongside it. And it continues to grow. And so here it says, I need to use the keyboard right. So right now what's inside of my code is it's saying that when I push this on key, which is the run button, if the keyboard, which is the arrow right, is pressed, then he will, or the arrow left, he'll step backwards. And then now I need to program him to step right. So what I am going to do for the sake of this is, obviously you want to encourage your students to write this out, but you can also copy and paste. And now I'm saying if I push left, he'll go back. If I push right, he'll go forward. And so we can see here that now he's moving forward and backwards to get to the banana, and I'm just following the directions that are over here on the left-hand side of the screen. And so when they get to the very end here, it gets a little bit, the students start adding different parts to the world. They add sprites and bananas and that kind of a thing inside, and you can design it. So they're designing and they're playing and they're coding all at the same time. So it's really great and interactive, and really middle schoolers love this one. I love it, they love it, and what student doesn't want to design their own game? And so here it'll walk you through all of that. I'm just going to show my solution. There's a lot to this one. You're programming different parts, and you're programming the banana and the monkey. And so there's different, these are sprites like you've heard in Scratch, I'm sure, before. So you're programming the sprites here to get to it. And what happens when we get to it is we're trying to collect the bananas and jumping, and we do all kinds of things inside of this one. So this one's really fun and probably will take students a little bit longer than an hour, and that's totally fine. Okay, moving along to our next course. So now we went over 3 courses: Coding Adventure, Dota Does Math, and Game Builder. And now we're going on to our 4th course, which is Moonlander. And then I'll try to wrap this up because we said only 30 minutes, so I'll be super quick here. So in Moonlander, the goal of Moonlander here is that we are using physics integration. So it was developed for an Israeli cyber competition. And basically you learn what gravity and thrust is and how to increase and decrease thrust and gravity and how much is needed basically to move through this world. So they are still doing lots of coding concepts like event handlers and functions and loops. If you're really into computer programming, this would be great. This one is very similar to the Game Builder, in which you're playing and coding at the same time. And so I'm just gonna go, we'll just look at this one here. And so you have to control, and to me, this one is, I'm not very good with, I'm really good at the coding. I'm not very good at the gameplay. And so I can't pass this challenge, actually. And I played it a lot of times. And so the goal is to land here, and that's kind of how this goes. And so you can see it's very complex. Lots of components are involved in this one. Last but not least, we have our trivia chatbot. Okay, same thing. We have our instructions, our code in the center, and on the right-hand side, students, if they're looking for something, it's their first time coding, the chatbot might not be as fun, but if you're a computer science teacher, this is perfect. They're using real Python, and who doesn't want to learn Python in this way than in the traditional environment? And it is guided, it is step-by-step, and they're not exactly learning everything, but it's guiding them and exposing them to the concepts as they go along. And so at the very end, this is what, like I said, you can see there's lots of learning here. That's going along. And I'm going to test the chatbot, and you can see that there's some trivia happening along the way. Who is the first Disney princess? And it's actually interactive, and it's kind of moving around as they go. And oh, I forgot to mention, Moonlander is our brand new course. So I'm sorry that I didn't say that earlier. So thanks, Zoe, for clarifying that in the bottom. And actually I'll be launching on the CodeMonkey page after today. So that's going to be really great. So as you can see, they're programming little components here. I also found, just for your own note, that at the end of challenge number 16, that's why mine wasn't working, as I was playing with the components, you can change it to do different questions. So this one was saying, who is Joanne Angelina Germana, I cannot say her name, but anyway, it's Lady Gaga. And so it's kind of interacting. So I use this actually with my students at the end to show me some different concepts. I made them do, I taught math and science. So I had them do like a little science interactive thing at the end of that, at the end of challenge number 16. So you can definitely do that with your students as well. So those are our Hour of Code courses. And underneath here, it just talks about what is the hour. Sorry, let me start this part again. Sometimes you get so fast, you forget where you are in the concepts here. Okay. So before we go on to that page that I was just talking about, I want to talk about what CodeMonkey is and why we're a little bit different. So CodeMonkey was founded in 2014 by Jonathan Chor. And he launched basically CodeMonkey after working with students and figuring out that they really grasp concepts when it was presented in a fun and gamified way. What makes us different? So I love this graphic because it puts you as a teacher in the driver's seat. So the uniqueness of CodeMonkey stems from the fact that it's real text-based coding. It's not block-based. As you saw, the students are really learning the coding concepts. It's easy, it's user-friendly, it's very intuitive, and the best part is that we put you in the driver's seat. So with all of our coding courses, even the Hour of Code, we provide you with resources to make you just as successful as your students. And when you create like a teacher trial, you actually have access to all of the same, you actually have access to the course that your students have access to. So you can learn to code too. So what makes a more fun way? So before we get back to this thank you part, I want to show you one more thing on our webpage itself. So if you go to that address that I had listed earlier, the played codemonkey.com /hour -of, and then -of -code / it'll take you here to this course here. So here's where you can sign up for a free teacher trial. But if you're wanting to share with like some of your stakeholders, maybe your principal isn't sure why you should have an Hour of Code, we have some information about what is the Hour of Code, when does the Hour of Code take place, and why is the Hour of Code important. And then, like I said, Moonlander will be here very soon. So that was short and sweet, but thank you guys so much for attending our webinar today. And now we're going to open it up to some Q&A. I hope that we gave you a chance to see all of our courses in action. And of course, you can always email our team. We're happy to help you go into any more detail if you need any of that. So we'll open it up to some questions for you.
Just before we get to all the questions, and Lena,
sorry.
you did such a great job. I wanted to say that again, anyone that's interested in furthering their coding in their school, in their district, an after school program, whatever you are doing, we are here to help. I'm going to put my email in the chat box where you can send me an email if you want more information about bringing full-time coding to your school. But definitely Hour of Code is a great way to invigorate your students, whether you're doing coding already or you're just about to start. CodeMonkey is a great place to start.
And just remember, have fun with the Hour of Code. That's what it's designed for. And like I said, just have everything set up beforehand and you'll have a seamless, exciting. And we would love also, I should throw this out there, we would love for you to hashtag us in any of your social things that you're doing for Hour of Code. We would love to share your information on our blog and with our users. Hope we have one question here in the Q&A box. Let's check this out. What was the Hour of Code URL? So let me go back to that actually. Oops. That's a great question. Thank you so much for asking that. So you can do it through code.org/learn and click on CodeMonkey, or you can do our web address right here, www.playcodemonkey.com /hour-of-code /. All right, well, it looks like there is no, oh, well, I'll answer this too. Someone had asked, what is the CodeMonkey hashtag? And our CodeMonkey hashtag is hashtag #PlayCodeMonkey. And so like I said, you can tag us during the hour of code. And somebody asked, can they go back to the game if they didn't finish an hour? Absolutely, students can go back and finish it. If the students are not logged in under the teacher trial, they may have to start again, but you can encourage them to kind of do that as well. All right, thank you, everyone. Looks like we have no more questions. Just remember, we're always here for you, and we thank you again for joining us at CodeMonkey's Hour of Code webinar. Have a wonderful day, everybody.